Thomas, welcome.
Thank you.
Sue Schuster, were your ears ringing today? Because I said your name
Oh,
today.
really?
I did.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, we talked about you very briefly. I was just excited to see you again.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm doing has changed, so I'll have to reconnect.
Oh, love an update when there's a pivot. David Visco has a new offer as well, which is very exciting. Hank, great to see
You.
you.
Lovely to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Sure
Been a while.
has.
Gordon joining from the car. Elsa, great to see you. Loving Elsa's new haircut. Michelle in the house. Keith. All right. Judy Kane wearing red today. Excellent. All right. Let's get this party started. I was going to run to the little girls' room, but I'm going to wait a minute because this is an important conversation to get started. Yeah, let your note taker in, Dharma.
Thank you.
Please drop your contact information in the chat as well. Um, and oh gosh, they're still coming in. Here's Peggy. Okay. All right, so I want to just start off with a little opening salvo because I think this is Dharma. I'm going to make you co-host and
Yep.
just watch the waiting room in case there's some new entries. Perfect. Um, I want to be really clear about what today's conversation is not, because this isn't strategy, this isn't theory, this isn't about fixing your niche or your offers or your funnel or your messaging. And trust me, I had 3 of those conversations already this week about fixing funnels or niches or offers. And most of the coaches I work with that I talk to don't have a strategy problem. They have a capacity problem. And what that means is that your body is always speaking to you. And if this hits home, good, because I want it to. It's broadcasting to other people, whether you're confident, whether you're safe, whether you're rushed, or whether you're quietly unsure of yourself. And that's where this conversation is going to really be impactful for you today. No amount of strategy, funnel design, offer creation, up leveling can override a crappy signal that you're putting out there. So, today we're going to talk about what actually shifts when you stop performing for your business and you start regulating your body that's building it. And what I mean by that for me is when I started paying attention to my health, my fitness, my meditation, my journaling, and watched my business accelerate because I was taking better care of me, and not just in a superficial way, but in a spiritual way. And it's not about becoming, reinventing, and becoming someone new. It's about becoming stable enough to fully be yourself, finding and letting yourself be what attracts the right clients to you. The same idea of being in the online space and somebody reads your post, they don't comment, but they message you. That's what we all want. So come to this conversation curious. Notice what you feel in your body when we talk about certain things. And that's where the real work is happening for that next level of success in this age of technology and AI and all those bells and whistles that you constantly see online. How's that sound? Awesome. Yes. Peggy, great to see you. Colleen, great to see you. Angelina, great to see you. Fran's here. Woohoo! From Switzerland. It's late for you, lady. Welcome. Patrick, Bruce Kaufman. Oh, so many familiar faces. Excited to have all of you today. So, here's my question for you in the chat, and then Dharma and I are going to jump in. What part of your business currently feels heavier than it should? What part of your business feels heavier than it should? It's taking too much time, it's taking too much effort, or maybe it's your body that feels heavier than it should. That's what it was for me. Drop those in the chat. Everything, Bruce, nonsense. You're killing it. Nonsense. Everything does not feel heavier.
I'm being, it doesn't. I just said that. No.
Your butt's bigger than it should be. That's okay. We can tackle that. The message clarity. Your body feels heavier than it should. Faison, you look so trim and fit, but I know. I understand when you feel heavy like that. Adjusting to the habits that are going to get me to yes, Colleen, that's good. That's good. Oh, did I create something you might like? I'll send it to you for you to test it out today. Partnership agreements and paperwork. Oh, yuck. Hate that too, Colleen. Yeah, Sue. Yeah, hate that too. Plane circling.
Yeah,
Ah,
plain
what's
circle. Well, let me tell you what I mean.
yeah,
Um,
tell us what you mean.
great conversations and people saying, yes, you're the one.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like it's a chain reaction
Mm,
because they're waiting for their clients or customers to come on board before they
no,
can flow through the system.
gotcha. Gotcha. Plane circling. So you need more plane circling and some landing, keeping that.
Yes.
Yeah, love it. Battling aging and keeping the energy flowing, Hank. Yeah, listen, you're never too old to be a great coach or consultant. My mentor is 80 and charges $1 million, and she's off in Europe right now with a huge client. So it's all about managing the energy. All right, love it. All right, so let's get this conversation started in a really powerful way. Why does strategy stop working? Dharma's work, and full transparency, I did Dharma's program and she did my program, and now we're combining the programs. But working with Dharma and working with Dorothy and working with the likes of energy medicine and acupuncture and a health coach and a menopause coach and throwing the kitchen sink at my health, Dharma helped me understand capacity, my body's capacity to handle the mental stimulation, the technology stimulation, the visibility, the leadership capacity, the client intensity. Like the more you charge, the more clients you have. I have 150 members in my group coaching program. So the more you have, the more capacity you have to have here. Urgency is really self-imposed when it comes to somebody like a high achiever. The only urgency that really is happening is what we put on ourselves. And she helped me understand that. So, Dharma, let's talk a little bit about capacity and how that over delivering really turns up with coaches.
Oh, in a lot of different ways.
Mhm.
But what we do not realize is that the signal has already triggered and we have already gone into either panic and maybe even to a pause and deflect. We maybe even be pointing our fingers at somebody else, or even worse, which is the most common reason for why we pause and self-sabotage, is we ask ourselves, do I really need everything? And do I have the expertise to do what I say that I'm doing?
Mm.
Because am I actually selling what they need? And we start doubting ourselves. And that's why we are calling this "You Are the Offer," because most people think we're selling expertise. And as a coach, what you're actually selling is an internal state that we are able to manage, hold, even under pressure.
Yeah.
I really want you all to write it down. What is triggered in you when you are under pressure, financially, time-wise? The calendar is full. You got to do this and you got to do that, because being self-employed, we have so many different expectations that we need to have in place and need to have done. So are you really able and capable of showing up as the coach, as the mentor, as the guide that they need? Or are you just reflecting what they are signaling you?
Yeah, I'd love to hear from a couple of voices in the room. And to kick it off, I'm going to answer this question for me. My capacity was stretched because of the demands I was putting on myself to do videos, do a podcast, write a blog, write emails, go to networking events, have a speaking career, write a book, like all the things that the online space told me I had to have in order to be successful as a coach. And I want to tell you that 3 years ago, realizing that it wasn't true, it was not true. It was a capacity problem. I couldn't possibly do all of those things myself. Keith, go ahead.
Yeah, well, first, I hear you on that. But for me, it's just the noisy world we live in, especially in the business world, where there's all of these coaches out there, all these programs, people who've gone from 0 to 1 million in 3 months, and this is how you do all of that stuff, right? And it can be difficult parsing through that. And
Mhm.
I doubt myself sometimes, like, well, is this the best way I can be doing things? Or is there another way? But a big thing that happens is it's lack of confidence, right?
Yeah.
Lack of confidence in what I'm doing, and that stresses me out. And this idea of fight or flight, it's sparked, and then it's difficult to bring it down, right? Like
Yeah.
after months or 2 months, and it kind of, I mean, this sounds really intense, but kind of spirals, where it becomes, you think about it so much that it becomes a belief of yours rather than just a thought. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
What are you looking for in that moment when you go into the trigger? What is the thought that you reach for, and what is this possible solution that your nervous system is reaching for?
More stability,
And what is that? You need to create something else. You need to have something else. We're looking externally instead of internally.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
already
I
have
love
the
that.
solution.
Yeah. But I'll say it's one of those things that, like, consciously, I know I agree with you. It's not a conscious thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
I come back to it again and again, and it's not what I know, it's what I do or how I react. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Yeah. John, let's go to you.
I'll go in a different direction. I think what a lot of people do is make a mistake, is they're stressed, they're emotional, They're believing all the emotions that are flooding their brain and then making decisions based on those emotions. And I've found anytime you make big decisions on emotions, you're usually making a bad decision. You're better off pausing, go smoke, go drink, go, now I'm not saying go get drunk. I'm saying go have a glass of wine, relax. Well, go have a cigar, relax, put your feet up, go sit in the hot tub for a little while. Kind of self meditate, take yourself down, let all that flooding disappear, and then say, okay, now that I've relaxed and calmed down and I'm not in reactionary mode, now let's take a look at it. And you're going to see things completely, completely different. You're going to find solutions you didn't even know were there.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
that's the
I love that.
courage to pause. Exactly. I love that too. It is the courage to pause and not respond with the reaction, but let the reaction fade and then wait for the solution because it's already there.
You know what's funny is I've been saying to pause, breathe, think, blah, blah. And I had this conversation some time ago with my wife, who's a licensed clinical social worker. And she goes, "You realize that's cognitive behavior therapy. I call it whatever you want. I call it pausing and breathing."
Yeah. Yeah. But
It is.
it's cognitive and it's behavioral. And if we understand that most of what we're, our capacity issues or our stress in our business is behavioral, not tactical. We don't need to find another tactic to solve. Fran, let's go to you.
Yeah, sure. Well, for me, having lots of work in front of me is okay. Um, because when I can't do anymore, I crash. I just sleep. My body says, go to sleep, Fran, be happy, play with your dogs. And I remind myself that I'm working for myself now and not for somebody else. Okay. But the other thing is I'm a bootstrapper, so I funded my business my whole self for like 5 years. And so at different points I made certain decisions about what my business is supposed to do for itself. And I want that to happen fast. Okay. So my reality is I do have to manage the tendency to try to solve the situation outside of what I've said that business needs to do. Because then I want to fall back on other things, and that is not where it needs to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Appreciate that. Sue, let's go to you.
For me, it was finding the correct community. So when I was stressed with not getting enough education, not knowing where I was going, not feeling part of the group I was in or even the network that I was part of, that stressed me out. So I pivoted, found a different group, found a different mentor, everything else, and that really, really helped to grow my capacity and everything else. Because now I feel comfortable with who I'm talking to. I feel comfortable with the message I have, the things I have to offer, and that grew everything like quickly.
Yeah.
So that was fantastic. And also having a really horrific injury in my lifetime. I don't know if the physical and mental can be almost the same thing. For me, it was a neck injury, so it was almost both. Just learning to breathe and be within yourself and be happy with the things you can do rather than loathe over the things you can't do. Can I do another Spartan race in my lifetime? Probably no, but I can still go hiking. So just my limitations and being okay with them. If anybody watches TV and Will Smith has a show called Pole to Pole, session 4 is about happiness. It was annoyingly truthful. So I suggest anybody who watched that. It was really great.
Love it. And Sue, thanks for the vulnerability. And now I feel extra close to you because we share some similarities there. Neck
Besides our
injury.
name.
Yeah, besides our name, but amazing. Amazing. So one of the things that stands out when we have conversations like this and somebody's willing to share about themselves like Sue just did, I now feel connected to her in a whole new way. And I already said her name once to Dharma today. So the courage to be vulnerable can actually bond you to other people in the room. And now I look forward to, I mean, I was looking forward to connecting with Sue again anyway, but now we have neck injuries to compare. We have Spartan races to compare. Like, how cool is that? That vulnerability can actually drive relationships in your business to be closer. And when you have that, ooh, getting goosebumps, when you have personal connection with people like that, like she just shared, there is more business going to flow between two people that have that. So, Sue, great job. Thank you. Let's go to you, Bruce.
Okay. So many things. So, but I wrote them down so I can go fast. So, John, what you said, I had a boss who would say, every time I have an important decision to make, I know what it is. I never make it the same day. I always give myself a night to think about it. Something happened. He knew he was going to quit. I didn't tell him today. I just do that. So when you said that, it reminded me of that.
Yeah.
For me, I can relate to what Fran was saying. It's like it's all there, and I just keep going. And then at some point, the body goes, damn it, stop. You're tired. Right. But what I do is I have moments that I force myself to step away from it.
Mm-hmm.
A nice time for breakfast, try to take a specific amount of time for lunch, but there's always time to stop and cook dinner, which just forces me to stand and do something else that actually has a result that I can see that tastes good. So, but I had two other things. And the second one first, what you were just saying about bonding with people.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday, what an amazing day, and the feedback that I got from everybody, which I've already last night changed everything, and I have to share with you. But one of the, besides the feedback I got was, I don't remember what I said about a frustration or a worry. I think we were talking about fees or whatever. And I said something, and one person in the group said, yeah, we all feel that way. And then, like one after another, 4 or 5 people went, we all do. Yeah, we all do. Yeah, we all do. And that was just like, wow, that was just not just that one person was saying, everybody in the group was going, yeah, I feel like that too. So that was really something. But I also wanted to ask a question. So what you were saying, Dharma, earlier about, we have this state where we're emotional and there's this place that we go to. So the fun part for me is my clients or prospects, they're going to be making decisions based on incomplete information. So by default, they're also going to be doing it from the gut. And I've learned you can't argue facts with somebody. And so I have to bring them from an emotional state to a factual state. But what is really helpful for me is to actually make that pain a little greater. And maybe we all do that, is to just say, here's your pain. Here's your real pain. Like when this tooth hurt and the dentist said, it's here. And I said, no, it's not. And he goes, hang on. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess it is here. Right. So it's like, for me, though, it's not to just take them from it right away. I can't help them unless they feel the pain more. And now they're willing to talk about the facts. Like, okay, it is that too. So that thought occurred to me when we were saying that.
To Bruce, what you said, Bruce, it's when we have the courage to know what our unique genius really is, and we are willing to stay in that space without feeding into the stress, the terror, whatever that feeling is that they are projecting upon us, to your point, it's when we as the authority, every single one of you in here, you are a leader. You are the leader within your unique genius. You are the authority. But if we do not own it, we slip and we start bleeding. We talked about that on Monday. We're starting to bleed into other scopes that are not our unique genius. And that's when we are not able, to your point, Bruce, we often don't know where our true pain points are, but we need somebody to help point it out, because only then are we able to make a shift. And we as that coach, we as that mentor, we as those leaders, we need to have that courage to point it out. That's why they're meeting with us.
So we have to be like the dentist that goes, no, here.
Yes.
Right? That's what you're saying.
Exactly.
Mm.
Good point, Bruce.
You know I love a good dental reference, Bruce, so thank you for that.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I immediately thought to do that for you. Of course,
Yeah,
I'll
thank
take
you.
credit for that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
You can use it now. Although you can have
Awesome.
enough of your own.
I will. I do have a lot, but I have a lot of funny stories too. Michelle, let's go to you.
Hi, everyone. So for me, I can tell when I am getting into that capacity issue or getting into that fight, flight, when I start to get push energy.
Mm,
When the urgency comes, where I'm like, do more, do more, do more, do more, that's when I know I'm in that space. And before I used to just push and push and push and until I collapsed. Like Fran was saying, where your body's like, absolutely not. After going through burnout, now I'm much more aware of that. And for me, what I had to do was look at when I was in these rooms, the networking and doing all the tools, what was my energy like when I left?
mm,
And I was finding I was trying to put myself in networking situations like speed networking, where I would be absolutely exhausted by the end. And now I have to go, that is not within my capacity to meet with, 20 people 6 minutes at a time. I need to know that that's not within my capacity and to not put myself in that situation. So
yeah.
knowing that, I have pulled back from things that feel like a push instead of a pull energy or things that leave me drained. So that's how I deal with that is and as well as like nervous system regulation exercises all day, every day. I'm always doing those, but knowing when I get in from the push instead of a pull energy is my signal to say, like, do I need to eat? Do I need to rest? Am I pushing too far? So
Love it.
How about
Thanks.
you taking the opportunity to land before you get there? You can actually
Mm,
arrive before, and then you can read the energy. Do I really need to be there? Is that the right space for me? And you tune into the meta universe and you're like, no, that's not supportive.
yeah.
yeah.
Sorry,
And
Suzanne, I cut you off.
No, it's great. I think it's also okay, and you all have my permission now, if you need permission. Some people need permission slips to rate your relationships and experiences and on a level of what Michelle just mentioned. Does it give you energy to spending time with that person or that group give you energy, or does it drain you of energy, or is it somewhere in between? And um you can rate people or groups with that in mind. And it's, of course, it's not something you share, but do you want to spend time with groups or people that leave you feeling drained? Do you want clients that leave you feeling drained? No, no. I like personally, and feel free to steal this. I want clients who inspire the shit out of me, scare me a little bit, excite me to work with them, and force me almost to perform at a higher level because I know that's where they're playing. So I have to show up prepared. There's nothing worse for me than showing up, I can do this with my eyes closed. I don't want to play there. So think about that for yourself and let me know in the comments if that makes sense for you. How do you want to rate things like that, whether it's client relationships, networking relationships, or even if it's your new offer you created? If you're not excited by it and fueled by it, don't do it. Sounds horrible to do something that drains you.
Well,
Patrick,
I disagree.
you
Oh,
disagree?
I
Okay.
actually, I even get to the point I told you earlier today. I said, oh, I declined somebody yesterday because of what I told you, and I want to share it with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to work with this person because I didn't like to spend time with the person.
Mm-hmm.
How can I be my very best if I don't want to be spending time with them? And that based on what Suzanne actually told me, do I want to sit down and have dinner with them
Mm. Yeah.
in my home? No. I want you to have that confidence. So yes, I want to take it one step further. No, mm-mm. Allow yourself to be a little bit more selfish and say,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. I love the discernment of if that person knocked on your front door and you were just about to sit down for dinner, would you invite them in? And if the answer's no, they're not a good client for you. I guarantee it. I guarantee it.
That's a good rule.
Yeah, it's been true every single time for me. Patrick, let's go to you.
So I'll take what Dharma just said and, allow yourself to be a little selfish. And it's taken a long time. You know, I've, I fill my calendar and I say, I need a space here. I'm going to stop at 4 o'clock here. I'm going to make a break here so I can wash my dishes and get away from everything and all that. And that is okay because people will move they say last minute, oh, I can't do it. Okay, fine. I still have control. The thing that really gets me uh, that I struggle with is when life happens.
Mm.
And so I have someone very close to me who is finishing up a 3-year prison sentence and is going to be out in 3 months and is relying on me to help coordinate the release with these people. And the prison system doesn't want to help. And that person has 7 minutes and I never know when they're going to call.
Oh, wow.
And that interruption, I can be in the middle of a call and I'm just like, sorry, got to take this. And if it's a group, I just put them on, pause or silence and I have to take the call. That's really hard. And number one, it's like a jolt because like, oh shit, I've got to take this. And then you're really focused on it and you only have 7 minutes. You're like, okay, we got to get everything talked about. And then you close and then the work is still going. It's like, God, how do I get back into this gracefully?
Yeah.
And I usually I hang up and I turn my chair around. I just take a few deep breaths and I go, okay, I got to finish this, be as present as I can, and then go back to it. But I think that's one of the hardest things when the life things interrupt you that you can't predict for at all.
Yeah. Truly. Think about the personal injuries, surgeries, deaths in the family, internet goes down, snowstorm happens, power goes out. Like all of those little, we can allow those things to derail us or stress us, or it's just part of life and part of having your own business, I guess. Right.
You can reframe it.
Mm-hmm.
When things happen in our lives, it is also the opportunity for us to actually pause and pay attention. There's a reason for why things happen. And if you're really tuning into what's happening within you, you will notice that there's signals were there, but we just didn't listen. And it will speak louder and louder and louder and louder. And for me, it was almost getting a heart attack and saying, I need to pay attention and shift. But that's how far it needed to go before I was willing to pause and pay attention. So allow a personal injury to give you the space, because we actually become the most productive when we pause. High-performing coaches, like every single one in here, you do not fail because you are lacking in any skill, intelligence, or training, but we fail because we are under too much pressure. So when we are having too much of a load and pressure, we actually fall. We make mistakes and we are not succeeding. But it's in the moment when we pause that we accelerate. And every single client of mine disagree. And I'm like, I stand firm on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you, Dharma. That's really impactful. Hank, let's go to you.
There's just two things I want to bring up, and they're both related to things that Dharma has shared. The first thing I want to talk about is that, if you have somebody that you so are mismatched with, the energy is really not right and you know it. It's not being selfish to let them go. It really isn't, because if you take on somebody that has that kind of energy that you just cannot deal with, you're not going to do the job for them that you need to do. So by letting them go, maybe you're being generous. You're not being selfish, because they'll find somebody who, resonates with them and gives them what they want.
Yeah.
The other part is, you mentioned that when you're working with somebody, sometimes you have to have the courage to point it out. And of course you do. Sometimes that's hard to bring up from inside, but then it comes down to it and you have to do it. And that's the difference between really helping someone by being one-on-one with them and having them come to you, as opposed to going to an AI chatbot. Because I have a client who brought me an idea about 2 weeks ago, and it was a horrible idea. It was a big time waster. It was like, why bother doing this? And he said, yeah, but ChatGPT told me it was a brilliant idea. And I said, yes, but your connections that you've made with ChatGPT probably in the last 6 or 7 months, it's giving you exactly what you want it to give you. And that's to tell you that you have a brilliant idea. Now I have to tell you that's not a brilliant idea. And as somebody who's worked with you a long time and has been your friend for a long time, I really need to tell you, don't spend time or money or effort on that, because eventually you're going to want to kick yourself if you do that. So yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I think that's a bravery thing right there, Hank. Like, to be brave enough to honor yourself in that way, it takes a lot of guts to do that. JH, let's go to you.
Joanna.
Hi.
Is it Joanna?
Yes, it
Oh,
is. You said it perfectly.
hi. Great to meet you.
Good to meet all of you. Thank you for having me. I think when I go under pressure, when I'm under pressure, I go through many stages. But the first stage I go through is, how can I contain the situation? So I go through containment overdrive. I want to fix everything right away. And of course I can't. I think this comes because from the need for safety and stabilizing my environment to feel safer. I feel hyper responsible because I'm the only one who can help me. And I mean, this is a confession. It's not a solution. I'm sharing with everyone. With age and time and experience, I learned to ask for help, ask for people's opinion. Maybe what I am seeing as a problem is a simple problem. It's not that grave of a problem. I also tend to set harder or harsher boundaries. And this is what Dharma expressed as selfishness. I love this selfishness, if we can call it that. And I need it, again, to give me a sense of safety. Pressure, I realized with time that it's the best thing for me sometimes because it makes me discover new aspects of myself, my resilience. It makes me more creative. But again, it's different kinds of pressures that can bring different parts of you. If you're under constant pressure, you eventually will crash, unfortunately, especially if you don't take the right actions. So I'm really glad that we're talking about this, and I heard so many amazing ideas yeah, one thing was said, if you want to go fast, slow down, or something to that effect. And I really love that. So it's good to pause. It's good to ask for help. I don't have to save the world right away or create a stabilization right away. This is too much. It's a long list to do on your own under pressure all at once. But that's what I do when I'm under pressure.
Well, I thank you for sharing that. And I would argue that most high performers put the pressure on themselves. And I see a lot of heads, right? I shared an article I wrote last week that urgency is not a strategy. Would love to know your thoughts on that because that was me. All the urgency and all the impatience and all the frustration in my business were all coming from me. Nobody else was giving me deadlines. Nobody else was telling me there was this required and that required. I had to regulate that capacity within myself. And it was one of the most difficult things to do because that boss of mine, she can be a bitch sometimes. And,
She can be very loud.
yes, but Dharma, how much, I know your clients come to you with that often, high performers come with that self-imposed, requirements, urgent, I gotta get this done, I gotta get that done. But there's nobody saying that except them.
Yep.
And what's the solution there? What do we do then?
Well, you want to do it now?
Yeah.
You actually need to say no.
Oh, okay.
You need to nail the ass to the chair and have a conversation. Who is the boss? Because if you feel that if I don't get this done now, then what are you afraid of?
Mm.
And then to John's point, you got to take a breath because there is a learned behavioral pattern that is the driver.
Yes.
We need to be the best. We need to be performing. We need to fix. We need to produce. We need to deliver. We have a deadline. And that is programmed into our DNA from the moment we were born. You got to finish dinner. You got to finish cleaning up. You got to do the laundry. You have until this time or you're going to have this. It is embedded into our behavioral system. And not just because we were taught how to do it, but it's even embedded into our behavioral pattern that we are taking with us from our ancestry. Think about that for a moment. I want you to just pause for a moment. It is even embedded into the ancestry within your DNA chain of a learned behavior. So you're not just unraveling yours, the bitch, the boss. I can be louder. You want to go into that conversation? But journal, have a conversation, because you are unraveling. Some people will call it a parasite. Suzanne and I are reading a book, and I agree with the parasite, because it will show its ugly face when we least expect it. So take the time to just write down, who am I competing with? Is this brain surgery? What would physically happen if you are not getting it done? Answer that question, and then validate, will that really truly happen if I don't do this? I'm not posting on social media the way I used to because I got tired of it. And what happened? People are now reaching out. Hey, where are you? Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. I'm great. It's owning who you are. So pause, nail that bitch or whatever you want to call it to the chair and have that conversation. So if I don't finish that, then what? Breathe for a moment and have that dialogue, and just be gentle with yourself and acknowledge, oh, I can wait. Yeah, you can wait. You know how we would judge when we were doing self-talk? It's like, man, that bitch is crazy.
Yeah.
To me, a bitch is a promotion because I've been around the block for a couple of times. So toddler self, take a breath. Allow yourself to just tune into this childlike curiosity and, oh, I can wait. I can go jump, skip rope and I can go on and on and on about this. This is where I live and breathe. How to stop that train? Runaway train and get to the station. Oh, and take a breath.
Yeah. That resonates a lot, because how many of you, and we can just show hands, do things because we think we're going to get something, get approval, get likes, get follows, get something from what we're doing. And then that external approval becomes the driver for doing things in your business. And I want to challenge that. I understand it very deeply. But the real satisfaction in your business, where does it come from? And if you're a coach sitting in this room, hopefully it comes from the transformation with the person across from you. If that's the real satisfaction driver, what would it be like to just be there instead of all of those other things? Nicole, let's go to you.
So thanks. There's so much going on, but and you're saying satisfaction, and I want to have that with people, and I want to give that. I'm a chairwoman and all this stuff, and I want to do stuff for people, I want to help them. But part of that is finding the fun, because taking the crazy childhood I was raised in with 2 mental cases for parents and multi-personality disorders, always something new and crazy going on. So I changed that into my adult life, and one of my main careers in security is say, oh, if it's chaos that I feel I need, then maybe I could turn it and have some fun and some satisfaction with being a security guard in a casino, sharing stuff with a nightclub. So you could take it out and do all kinds of chaos, and then it was a good moment, right? You have your rest moment. But trying to find the exuberance in that with working online. I love tech, but it doesn't give me that passionate physical drive that I got from jumping into the fight in the moment.
Mm. Can you find something else that gives you that? I know exercise can do that. Some sort of other activity could do that. That way you're not looking for it in your business.
Yeah, so separating maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Dharma, any ideas for Nicole?
Not publicly, no.
Okay.
I got to
I got an idea just
yeah,
from you
I do
saying
too,
that.
but
So that's another conversation that we can talk about another time.
yes.
Yeah. You can get lots of energy from that. John, let's go to you.
Yeah, we're talking a lot about, making a decision for now and meeting with clients now. I think it's also real important to, after the fact, have a little after action report with yourself. And don't fall into the trap if, someone doesn't buy, oh, that client was bad. They didn't have money. And if you're just always, it's someone else's fault, you're never going to learn. You're never going to get better. You're never going to learn your mistakes, your flaws, if you're not going to really hold the mirror up to yourself and say, hey, how could I have handled that better? How could I have made that decision better? How could I have been more aware sooner? How could I have paused sooner? How could I have taken a deeper breath? And that's the way you really, in my opinion, build the self-awareness. And that's without the self-awareness, you can't pause in the moment. It's like saying, I'm gonna show up at Yankee Stadium and I'm gonna hit a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. Well, you don't have the skills. How are you gonna do it? Oh, I'm just gonna do it when they throw the pitch. Well, you don't have the skills. I don't have the skill to hit a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, but I do have the skills sometimes to pause and take a deep breath because I've worked on it. I've worked on those skills. And if you're not having those after action reports with yourself, you're not going to get those skills.
Yeah. Spot on. Spot on, John. Saying yes when your body says no, maybe underpricing yourself to get a yes or to manage fear of that higher price. What about staying available 24/7? I met with someone a couple weeks ago that was going to 40 networking events every month trying to get a client. And my question for her was, how many clients did you give at those 40 networking events? Well, she said, I don't have any clients to give. Stop going to networking, then you're not ready, right? And that was shocking to her to have me say that. Shocking. She said, what would I do if I wasn't going to all of those events? I don't know, but you certainly would have an extra 40 some hours every month to work on your business for yourself, right? Um, so yeah, I think compensating and not looking at yourself is really the struggle here energetically, right? The lack of, hey, that was I haven't pitched my services, or I didn't make an offer to somebody, or maybe you need to refine your sales process. Maybe you need to refine your ideal client. But that's a you problem. That's not an other people's problem. And I want to hit one more topic before we wrap up today. Elsa, as brief as possible. I know you'll have something valuable, but
Thank you. I'll make it brief. I just think that what keeps going through my head as I hear all these things is that we always have to remember that our outer world is always a reflection of our inner world. It is never, ever about them. It's all about us. And yes, sometimes our lives feel like we live in that crazy house of mirrors. Every time we turn around, we get a different reflection, and it feels really difficult to figure out what reflection is truly reflecting me. right? Whether it's the one where you look short, you look short and fat, or tall and long, or big arms or small arms, right? It doesn't matter. It's always a reflection of you. And when we can just for 1 minute stop, pause, like we've talked about quite a bit, and say, so where does it all start? And know that, and say that what is it within me that so desperately wants to reflect something out? And why am I attracting these things? And I think that's really, really important to remember, that it always comes back to us. And whether it's what Nicole shared or who else shared here, is there is something you need to look at.
Yeah, thank you, Elsa. Well said. Well said. Sue, go ahead.
Okay, just real quick, because I know we're about out of time, which made me sad. I looked at the clock, I'm like, already. Anyway, I would say priorities is huge. So whatever is your priority, and it shouldn't be making money. If it's your kids, if it's cooking, if it's dog walk, whatever it is, and I do some, like, being a woman in the code in space and the in charge and stuff really is different than the men's, nothing against the men, but it's different. So I do a lot of coaching on that, and it really comes down to priorities.
Yes. Dharma, any final words before we wrap up?
I want to offer you all the opportunity. I'm going to put a link in the chat. You will not find it online. So if you lose the chat and you lose the link, then you're going to have to reach out to me directly. But what I would like to offer each and every single one of you is the opportunity to take the pause and listen to what your body is telling you before you do something. Practice it for just 7 days, which means that you're going to actually show up maybe later. If you have a networking event, tune in, arrive in the room before you show up, and just ask, is that where I need to be? You can do that in every single conversation that you may need to have. Any kind of a phone call, text message, reach out, connect, and then decide, is that the right thing? Try it out, and you may be surprised of how much more energy you end up with, because you will listen to your boundaries and say, yeah, no, that is not nourishing me. They would be tapping into you and just take everything from you. It's really easy to do, and that's when people, really, that's all I got to do? Yeah, but doing it is the key.
Yeah, doing it. Yes. My final words for you tonight, I'm putting in the chat something to remember as a coach, as a high performer. If you're in this room, you want to improve your coaching business and you want to improve the results you get for your clients. I don't want you to confuse competence with authority. Being a competent coach has nothing to do with your online authority. Two different things. I recently met a wildly successful coach who has no website, no online presence, and he has 26 $200,000 clients. My question for him was, where did they come from? And he responded, from meeting me, of course. And I was like, oh, I love that so much. So authority, the way he responded was extreme self-trust. Well, from meeting me, of course, it comes from that grounded pacing that Dharma talked about, the emotional containment, self-awareness, knowing yourself better than you know anyone else. Clients don't need you louder, they need you steadier. And that's what retains clients year after year after year. And your presence can communicate, I can hold you. I can kick your ass, but I can hold you. I can motivate you, but I can't create motivation in you. I'm not proving myself anymore, and I no longer feel rushed, and neither should you. So if you're curious about this work, Dharma and I, because of our work with each other as coaches, as peers, we've taken her program, her 12-week program, and my 8-week accelerator for coaches, and we've combined them. And there's no public offering, there's no landing page, there's no sales page. It's just a conversation if you're interested in having it. We're not even sure when we're going to launch the next cohort, but we'd be excited to have that conversation. So just reach out to either of us if you're interested in going on that journey to up-level your coaching practice and your personal energy. That means your pricing, your offers, your niche, but also the way you're thinking and being and moving in the space. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of Coaches in Conversation. I appreciate each and every one of you, new people, old people, people I haven't seen in a while. It's been great. Thank you, Dharma, for all of your input the last 2 weeks. Dharma and I are going to continue this conversation at least a couple more times because there's just so much juicy richness to get into. And thanks for all of your contributions. Appreciate you.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, let's kick out some note takers.